Hello, Sara. Welcome to my Women's Health After 40 series. I'm very excited to have you here today. Um, we are going to be talking about something that, if I'm perfectly honest, I don't truly understand what it means. But you're the experts, you're going to be explaining that to us. But first of all, before we get going, just tell us who you are and what you do and why you're so fabulous.
I don't know about that part, but hi, pleased to be here, Alison. Yeah, thank you. I'm Sara. I'm a psychotherapeutic counsellor and I work in the area of wellness as a therapist and also a mindfulness and breath coach. And I'm training in positive psychology and that really informs a lot of my work and has done really for the last few years. And the more that I understand about positive psychology and work with it, the more I find it really empowering and useful. So I'm really pleased to be here and talking about women's health through that lens.
Now that sounds positive psychology. It sounds fantastic because as we age as women, as we come over 40 and we have all the hormonal shifts and aging in general, we can get into we can I don't know, negative is maybe not quite the right word, but it affects our mood, it affects our joy for life. I have a lot of clients that say to me, I just have lost my spark. I don't feel joyful anymore. And I think when positive psychology, it sounds very useful and it sounds something that women in menopause and as we age could maybe find beneficial. So can you actually explain what is positive psychology? Does it mean we have to be all super positive the whole time?
I know it kind of does, I think, sound like it might be that, but it's not that. So for anyone watching, keep watching. It's really not that. It does, positive psychology does include thinking about positive emotions and how we can evoke them, because that is important. It really can make a difference to our lives, but it's giving us the skills to do that. But what it is really, in a nutshell, is the science of well-being and happiness. So it's breaking it down. It's understanding what makes us feel good. What have we done in the past that has helped build our resilience, when we face adversity in the here and now. So it's like playing to our strengths and really getting to understand them and use them moving forward in life. But I guess the big difference between that and a lot of other types of therapies, it's looking at what's going well. Whereas when we have a client in therapy, quite often we're kind of, the contract is about what do they want to change, what is not going so well. Positive psychology is really looking at what's going well, and it's not neglecting what's not going well, but it's thinking about what resources. It's really kind of fleshing out what resources have you got, how have you used them, and how can we play to your strengths moving forward.
Oh, it sounds great. Sounds exactly what we need. And do you like what are you seeing in your work at the moment? What are you seeing emotionally in women? Women that are in their 40s and 50s. Is there anything particular that you're seeing in women that they're struggling with emotionally?
Yeah, I guess like the biggest thing with that is emotional dysregulation. And what I mean by that is when we feel sort of out of control emotionally, like there's a surge of emotion and it becomes overwhelming and different perhaps to what we're used to. And that is a normal kind of response to hormone changes as well. And particularly, which I think you've talked about before, is a lot of frustration and irritation when women are going through physical and mental changes. It can be, it can be quite scary, and that can show up as irritation, frustration, which is really low level anger. Um, so with that dysregulation of emotion, it's not so balanced. Perhaps there's not so much joy and happiness that you're feeling, and there's more of the more negative emotions. And sometimes we do have to categorize them like that because certain emotions just, we just don't feel so good if we have too many of them.
Yeah, and it can suddenly creep up on you. You can't, a person that normally is relatively happy, and can all of a sudden start feeling, just life doesn't, like I said earlier, life doesn't really have any joy. And I see that a lot in clients, that they just don't have that the positivity that they had for life has diminished. And there are explanations for this. We're not going to go into all the hormones today, but that we need estrogen, we need progesterone, all of those. When we come into perimenopause and menopause, has an effect on how we feel. We need what we call our happy hormones, don't we? Our serotonin and dopamine and everything to really, make us feel good, to affect our mood. So, when women or many women describe to me feeling like flat, or like emotionally muted or joyless, they feel like that zest or that spark that they used to have has gone. And how common do you think this is? And what is actually really going on here psychologically?
Yeah, I think it's really common actually, and that can be useful to sort of normalize it a bit so people don't feel so alone with that process. What's going on psychologically? Well, as you know, and have put in your book, I think, about the brain section, is the changes in those brain chemicals you're just talking about, the dopamine, the serotonin, the endorphins, the things that make us feel good. And particularly dopamine gets affected. So quite often you lose that motivation to do the things that make you feel good. So for example, going out for a walk makes you feel good, but you just don't have the motivation to do it. That is a bit of a stumbling block because the dopamine isn't there, and we have to kind of scale it back and start a bit smaller sometimes. So it's understanding that if you don't feel like doing something, you're not lazy, right? The motivation isn't there for a reason, because the brain chemistry isn't supporting that motivation. But that's one part. But obviously, it's so nuanced, isn't it? And multifaceted for different people, because also what is going on in your life? Do you have a job that you enjoy? Do you have employers that support menopause, that understand if you go and have a conversation with some of the struggles you're having, is that going to be supported? So that is going to make a huge difference. Do you have a supportive partner, or are you on your own? Do you have young children, or do you have teenagers with hormone surges that are challenging? There's all of that life stuff as well. What is going on there? Because when you're losing that spark and energy and joy, also is the balance out? Are you giving out emotionally and cognitively to your work, to everyone else, and not bringing in enough of the stuff that you love? So that can be out of balance as well. So it's sort of what's going on. I guess the simple answer to that is there are internal changes that are going to make it harder for you to access the very things you need to manage your life in a balanced way, to feel what you need to feel.
It's about self-care, isn't it, really? Look, I
Yeah,
mean, rather than
absolutely.
being at the bottom of the list, put yourself at the top. And I think women in general, we care and we look after everybody else, don't we? And our needs tend to come at the bottom. And it's
Yeah.
so important that, particularly when all these hormonal shifts are kicking in, that you really start to look after yourself, because otherwise you just feel terrible. It's really, I know it's very easy for me just to say, oh, you need to start looking after yourself. But even just something really small, even 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, can make a huge difference. So yeah. And
Yeah.
what about, I know stress. I mean, stress is like a huge topic, isn't it? You could talk about stress for days.
Mm.
But from your point of view, when it comes to women and this particular phase in a woman's life, when you think of stress, you think of life load, hormonal changes. How does that all interact with our emotional well-being at this stage of life? And is there anything we can do with positive psychology to kind of help or make us feel better? There's just anything that you could do on a daily basis or weekly that could help?
Oh, yeah. With a positive psychologist, lots of things we can do to sort of train our brain to feel better. So some of the things you I know that you know about, like, but I don't know if our people watching will necessarily know about, is the gratitude practice. Now, gratitude practice is a proven scientific way of shifting those neural pathways in your brain to feel, to switch from scarcity to abundance. If we start the day with three things, three things that you're grateful for, and kind of change them up because the brain likes novelty. So three different things each day. Well, it doesn't matter if they're the same, actually, anything to just get the habit initially. But to have a prompt, so as soon as you get up is a good time, or when you're in the shower, I do mine. So starting off with water, I'm grateful for having a shower. I'm grateful for hot water, just remembering a time when perhaps you didn't have hot water, you know, um, those kind of things. So it could be, thanking yourself for the people in your life, or food in the fridge, or you can just be creative with it. But the trouble is, when someone's in midlife and menopause, they don't always feel like, you don't always feel grateful. And I think it's acknowledging that you don't maybe feel like you want to say that. But if you can overcome the discomfort and just do it anyway, it's a practice that even if you're not really feeling it, just by doing it, it's going to switch something up. It's just going to remind you of, yeah, a more balanced way of thinking about your life. So that's one thing. Um, the and another one, which kind of links in with that, I guess, is savoring, which is at the end of the day, just bringing again three things. If that's too much, just one thing to mind that's really gone well in your day, and really sort of fleshing it out, talking about it, or journaling, or thinking about, what that moment was like. Perhaps something went well at work, or perhaps you were just standing in the sunshine. It sounds a bit corny, but you just felt really warm and pleasant. Just remembering that, because the brain automatically will go to what's gone wrong because we're so primed to notice the negative. So those are two things
Yeah.
you can do, um, which can really make a difference. And it doesn't take long, to do those things. It's minutes.
It's so easy, isn't it? And it's, you know, uh, the power of gratitude. I totally am 100% behind what you're saying, because even though, you think in the morning, oh, it's dark, it's cold, and you're getting up early and you've got to go to work and you're feeling terrible, the last thing you feel like doing is being grateful. But it's a habit, really, isn't it? It's creating that habit, and doing it on a daily basis makes a huge difference. Yeah, it's really interesting, gratitude. And like you say, it doesn't take it doesn't cost anything, and it doesn't hardly take any amount of time. So, things like that are so beneficial.
Yeah. And can I just add to that, Al, that
Yeah, sure.
I think that don't go into that expecting. What I would say is, don't go into that. If what you just said is so true, isn't it? If you're feeling like a bit heavy and a bit the day's a lot, don't expect that gratitude practice to change that feeling, or don't try and make that feeling go away. Just do the gratitude practice as well. It's like that
Mm.
can make a really big difference, rather than, oh, if I do this, I'm not going to feel this. And then that doesn't work. So why should I keep doing it? It's just do it anyway. Give it a go. Yeah, it takes time to really seep in. And it's not about getting rid of the way you're feeling either.
No, no, that's a good point, actually. And I think it's really interesting what you said about negativity, or like, it's like our default is to think about what went wrong in the day. And I'm actually quite aware of that. And I see that in my work, and when I'm with people, that we don't tend to talk about the joyful things that have happened in the day or the week. We just focus on the negative things. Uh, I'm quite mindful of that now, and I really kind of say to myself, "Oh, no, stop it! You've had a brilliant day. Why are you focusing on that maybe small thing that happened that irritated you? Why do we do that as humans? Why do we always focus on the negativity?"
Well, we do that because our Stone Age brain is primed to do that. Because if you think about it, back in the day, if there's a tiger down that path, we need to kind of remember that. I know it sounds crazy now, but we need to focus on the problems to survive, but we don't now. Well, we don't have to worry about those basic things. Many of us, not all of us, of course, depending on where we're living in the world, but uh, yeah, we're primed to keep having this negative bias to keep ourselves safe. It's a survival protective mode.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, That's probably why it always kicks in, doesn't it? Because it's like you say, it comes from our as human beings, we need that for survival. But yeah, well, thank you so much. One word that has come up recently, and I actually wrote an article for a magazine about this. They were talking about women, menopause, hormones, all of that piece, and the loss of joy. And it really, I don't know why, it really hit home with me. You know, I'm a woman in menopause. That loss of joy or pleasure, you know, things that you used to find really joyful, you don't really have that anymore. And the word which I actually, if I'm being honest, had never heard of, it's called Anhedonia. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Which actually, when you look it up, means the quiet loss of joy or pleasure. And that just to me was like, that is what so many women in perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause really feel. And you know, you can feel low, can't you? Everybody has days where you maybe just you think you feel a bit low. But what do you think, that is there any sort of, can you explain that, the difference between feeling low and then like maybe not, or losing the joy for life? So have I explained that clearly enough?
Yeah, no, really, really clean. And I felt really emotional when you said that, because that's so sad, isn't it, to lose that? And true that happens. Um, so first of all, like the difference between anhedonia and low mood is, if low mood would sort of come and go, and it might link to, okay, like I've had a really heavy day, or I just haven't had enough breaks this week, or something's happened in my life that's really upsetting, you know. So low mood, you can kind of link it to something external that's happened, or perhaps something internal that you're struggling with, and it sort of comes and goes. But that loss of joy, the anhedonia, is when it's just consistently, you know, whatever you do, like you say, when you do the things you love, you just don't get the same feelings. And I think some of that is often down to that brain chemistry change. But also, when you think about all the changes and the symptoms that potentially women in midlife can experience, and I know that's different for everyone. I know you know more about this, but if that comes flying at you, you know, your brain fog, for example, and then you have aches and pains, and then you're getting hot flushes, and then you can't sleep well. And if that all comes flying in at you, it can really overwhelm your nervous system. So you get this flatness, because it's almost like a freeze response to life. It's like, what the hell, you know? And it's different for different women, isn't it? Sometimes they might get one or two symptoms, and you know, it's how you respond to that as well. Again, it's complicated to think about, but I think it's really understanding that, you know, you need some help. You need some help from the people around you. You might need some help nutritionally, you know, a brilliant and important part of it, right? Um, exercise wise, you might need to rethink things, because movement again is going to be really key. And to work your way out of that, it needs to be small. You don't want to be signing up to something really tough, a program that, you know, is too hard for you at this particular time. And I know you really help people work, you know, at their own pace where they're at. And that becomes really, really important out of that, because it's so flat and so low. It's just very tiny steps out. Consistent,
Yeah.
tiny. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you put one habit in place, even if it's just drinking more water, and you see a difference, then you move up and you do. I had a client recently that was exactly what we're describing, and she was just exhausted and overwhelmed, and we just put tiny little things in place. I said, no, I only want you to do this, like drink more water, go for a 5-minute walk. We're doing one thing a week. You're not doing two, you're doing one.
Brilliant.
And I mean, the transformation in that lady was just fantastic to see. And now, I mean, she's just like a completely different person. Okay, now it's 6 months later, but she's completely overhauled her life and put in place all of these new habits just from doing small things and fixing that, getting that in place. Okay, I do that now regularly. Now I'm going to move on and do this. So it really doesn't have to be complicated. It's just awareness, isn't it? And I think it's very important what you said, Sara, is asking for help. You know, if you
Yeah.
really are feeling down and low and have lost your joy for life, then, you know, ask for help. Go and get some support. That is really, really crucial, that we get the support that we need.
Yeah, yeah, and including your GP, you know, so many more, and finding a menopause informed GP, which there are many more now, thankfully, aren't there?
Yeah, exactly. Making sure that you're getting the support that you need from your doctor, and if you're not, then find another one. You
Yeah,
know, you
exactly.
don't have to put up with that.
It's being a bit more punchy, isn't it, for yourself? And it forces, like you say, women to advocate for themselves, to kind of turn towards themselves a bit. It literally forces you to do that because, you know, in many situations, doesn't it? Because these symptoms are derailing, or they can be.
Yeah, no, you have to be strong, and it isn't always. It's difficult when you're feeling like this, aren't you? When you maybe are feeling low and etc., or you know your joy for life isn't what it used to be. It's difficult to muster that energy to start, you know, putting yourself first and maybe changing doctors or whatever. But
Yeah.
just you need to put yourself first. It's very, very important that we do as we age as women.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Sara. Thank you so much. This is really interesting, because I know the things like brain fog, focus, all of those things are a really big part of this transition. And you know, personally, myself, when I through my menopause transition, that was the worst thing for me, was the focus, the lack of just not being able to remember things and feeling really scatty, and you know, all of that, and irritable, and all of mood swings. Everything was a really real struggle, to be honest.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so I always I'm very realistic, and I like practical ideas that people can actually do that are gonna help.
Yeah.
So what are small realistic ways that women can begin to reconnect with joy and pleasure without putting any pressure? I know we spoke about the gratitude, which is a great thing. Is there anything else that women can really do if they're feeling a bit low?
Yes, so I think to engage first rather than wait for the motivation to do it, just accept that might not be there, and you want to engage first. So connect with something that you love. Maybe make a list of the things that are quite they're quite predictable for you. Perhaps you love reading and you've lost the ability to pick up a book. You just don't have the motivation for that. Or you love being outside. We know that being outside in nature is great for us. Or you like knitting, or you like gardening, or you like cooking, but you've lost your joy for that, or you like a tidy house, right? Any of those things, but just start really small and really light. So, you know, for women that have a sort of be strong driver, it might be like, oh, I just blitz and I do it all. It's really accepting, okay, right now I need to do things a bit differently. And I think that's where a lot of women get stuck, especially those powerful you know, women that are really driven and they've got this all sorted. It's really hard to kind of adjust and pivot. So we get stuck. And I think when you talk about your own experience, similarly, mine was around brain health. And I got really stuck in like, why can't I remember things in the same way? But once you accept that you can't and you understand it's not your fault, you can then release that energy to go, okay, I need to put things on my phone as soon as they come up. I need to change. I need to have some strategies here to support myself. It's okay. But people get so stuck in that. Why don't I feel joy when I do this? You know, I just want that back. So then we're kind of in this stuck place because we're resisting the reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it's accepting, isn't it, that this is happening, and then shifting for that, to understand, because knowledge is power. And I think once you explain things to people, that you're not going crazy, this is happening because of this physiological change,
Yeah.
and this is really how you need to kind of shift things around a bit. So like you say, I mean, remembering things, writing things down, putting it on your phone. I have to do that. If I don't if I think, oh, I need to do that, if I don't write it down immediately or put it in my phone or whatever, it's just like, whoa, gone.
Yeah, similar. And it forces you to do something different, really. It's all about, I mean, the menopause, you're literally pausing and turning towards yourself. That's what is happening. All these emotions, all these changes. It's a lot, right? But it is, if we look at it through a lens of something positive that might come out of it. And of course, life is like that, isn't it? There's always, light and shade with everything. It is a chance to make some changes for yourself that might actually help you feel better in the long run.
Yeah. So they were really good, brilliant advice. So if a woman's listening like now and really feeling that she's lost herself, what would you want her to know?
Well, that can be a really difficult feeling to lose yourself, to lose your identity. It can feel really scary and really dysregulating. So to normalize that other people will be feeling that as well. And sometimes to reach out to other people have those menopause conversations and rants. There's a balance with that because that can be helpful and it can also be unhelpful if there's too much of that. So finding your tribe or other people, understanding there's a normalness about but feeling lost is also a normal kind of cycle of life. We lose and find ourselves all the time. So it's about accepting we are going through a transition rather than trying to find ourselves too quickly. Like this is an exploratory place, and to find more meaning and value and what do you love and how can you get that, and trying not to be too frightened of that feeling of being lost. It's easy to say. I mean, I've been through this process too. I'm still going through it to some degree, but accepting you don't have to exactly find yourself perfectly in any way, anyway. It's all an ongoing process. It's part of evolving, being able to be a little bit lost in yourself.
Yeah, it's life's journey, really, isn't it? Life has
Yeah.
its ups and downs, and life isn't perfect. But I think that was great. I love that because we always try to fight against everything, don't we? But maybe
Yeah.
just not fighting as much and just more accepting that this is what is happening. It's a transition, and asking for help, talking to friends, all of that is so important, isn't it? So
Yeah.
if there's
Yeah.
one gentle first step, if we think of this a lady that is feeling a bit lost or just feeling, doesn't have any joy, anything like, what's the first thing that she could do this week?
Well, a mindset shift would be great if people are able to access that, is to start developing some self-compassion, a sort of kindness to self in the way that you talk to yourself throughout your week would be, I mean, that's quite a big ask actually for one thing. Any one small thing that is a nod to yourself, like you said with your lady there, which was beautiful to hear actually, that just drinking water and you kept her, like, don't run on to the next thing and the next thing, just stay with that one thing. And uh, yeah, make a decision, be intentional. I'm going to do this one thing for me, and start early in the day if you can. If you don't know what that one thing is, then I would say a nice deep breath, what we call a changing breath, before you even get out of bed. Just take a nice deep breath, if you can, a few deep breaths in and out, and just have a self check in. How am I feeling? How's my body? Perhaps you haven't slept enough. What do I need? Okay, I need some rest in the day at some point, even if it's just a couple of minutes. Close my eyes, listen to sounds. What do I need and how can I take that? So a little, start your day with a focus on your needs. Then you give out a better version of yourself, don't you? If you are, I think many women are so used to, like you say, rushing into their caring for their children, caring for their work colleagues, and not noticing themselves until they're all out. And then that resentment and anger comes because it's too much. You've given out too much. So in answer to your question, the one thing would be to start your day with a little nod to yourself, whether that's having a glass of water, taking a deep breath, going for a walk, whatever that might be too much, having a little stretch of your body. something for you. I mean, I do body brushing in the morning before I get in the shower, and I feel that's like a little nod to my body, and I really enjoy that. I think that's something you do, isn't it?
Yeah, I love body brush. It's so invigorating, isn't it? And it's like
Mm.
basically it takes hardly any time. You only need a brush, and it just, yeah, I love it. I'm a bit addicted to body brushing. I think it's so, it's not only good for your skin and it helps with cellulite and detoxification, but it really lifts your mood.
Yeah, I agree. It's a wonderful thing to do, isn't it? It's so
Yeah.
quick, and it's quite important something like that because it's connecting you to your body. And I think in menopause we get so in our heads a lot of the time. It's like how do we connect to our body needs our attention, right? So anything that just connects mind and body, any small thing like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
body brushing. Well, brilliant, Sarah. Thank you so much. There's been so much wonderful information here. So, just to kind of summarize a bit here. So, things that women can do to really help. We've been talking about positive psychology. We've been talking about really how to shift your mindset. If you're feeling that you're struggling going through menopause, or it isn't always just menopause, is it? It's life as
Mm,
well. you
exactly.
know we can't blame everything on the menopause. I know the
Mhm.
hormonal shifts have a huge effect on the majority of women, but something also happens as we age as women.
Yeah, that's true,
uh,
isn't it? Because there's a lot. You're in a transition, you're in a different place in the life stage, aren't you? When you hit 40, 50, things are changing, dynamics are changing around you, and that is an important part of it. Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like the natural aging process and menopause, together really has an effect on us.
Yeah.
But we've spoken about gratitude, haven't we? Doing gratitude in the morning, just going through three things in your head. You don't even, of course, you can write it down, but you don't need to. What else have we spoken about? Mindset shifts, being kinder to yourself. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, my menopausal brain. See, I can't remember what we've spoken about.
Oh, you have remembered really well. And
What else did we? What other
what's that?
points that could women start doing?
Well, start writing a list of the things that they find joyful and doing it in a small and mini version of it. So, for example, if they love socializing but they don't have the energy to go out to socialize and they don't have the motivation because of the brain chemistry we talked about, it could be I'm just going to go for a walk with one friend or I'm going to go for a drink with one friend. Do start really small. Um, I say drink, I'm just thinking about alcohol and menopause, but that's a whole nother conversation. A coffee or whatever. Yeah, or a drink, whatever. But I suppose it's just starting really small and understanding that you don't have to go big with things. Just keep it small and that's your sort of a step out of back into enjoyment and connection. So um the other thing just to add with positive psychology, which is really useful to think about, is using the past for reflection. So when you talked about the losing yourself, kind of using the past for reflection, when I was doing that job, did I really love it? What did I love about it? Not going into, oh God, we will do that. Like, oh, I just want to go back to how I was then. But what was it up then that, what strength did I
Mm,
have that perhaps I still have? And also, and really importantly, is using the future for visualization and imagination. Like if we imagine the life we want, and I get the sense that you do this, like with your book and all the things that you've made happen. Like we need to visualize it first, we need to imagine it, and then our behaviors will map what we're telling ourselves. And I know you're a fan of Tony Robbins, aren't you? And he really is of that ilk as well. And I think that's really true. All the science tells us it's true that if we can visualize what we want moving forward, we're more likely to get that. But if we can't even visualize it, if we can't even think that that is the life that we could have, then that can be a challenge. It can
yeah.
derail us a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wonderful point. Yeah, always try to think about the life that, or the things that you want to happen in your life. I do really like, a lot of people do vision boards, don't they?
Yeah, they're great, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. putting pictures on a vision board, it's where you put pictures, don't you, of things that you want to happen. You can do them, for this year. It's the beginning of the year. I haven't actually done one yet. I should do that. That's a good reminder. But it's
Yeah,
because you
I think
see, it's very visual as well. When you see,
yeah.
like I want to be on, I've got this thing, I want to be on television. I want to be on morning television and talk about my book and menopause and, my things that I've seen that really work and help women during this time. So I need to get a picture of me or of a morning television studio on my vision board.
Well, you know what? I can see that happening. I've got a vision of that happening for you because I absolutely will have to revisit and have another YouTube conversation when you're on there because you will be.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but it's so important, isn't it? And I just, before we end, I just want to really address something that happened right at the beginning because it's quite amusing that we're talking through the lens of positive psychology, and you introduced me and used the word marvelous, and I kind of like battered it back a bit instead of just saying thank you and accepting it. And it can be such a habit for women to, it's almost like maybe it's a cultural thing as well that we shouldn't be too proud or too take too much pride in ourselves, but actually we need to, and we need to accept those strokes. It's like in TA psychotherapy, we call that a stroke when someone gives you a compliment, and it can be very automatic, which even I did, to bat it back a bit rather than just say thank you and absorb it and remember it, because that can, we need those positive strokes to get us through midlife, I think, even more. So I just wanted to just address that.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? I always try to give people compliments. It's in some of the presentations I do, that the power of complimenting each other and how you can really make somebody's day by just, if a woman is feeling really down, she's, emotional, and somebody even says to her at work, "Oh, I really like your scarf," or "Your hair looks nice today. What lovely shoes you've got." The impact that can have on that person is profound. It can make their day.
Yeah, absolutely. Just sort of spreading a little bit of kindness. So thank you. I've received that compliment, and thank
Okay,
you.
great. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time, Sarah. I know you're so busy. I really appreciate your knowledge. Now, so tell any of the listeners how they can get in touch with you. If anyone wants to work with you, if anyone wants to learn more about your work, what is the best place for them to reach you?
Oh, I wasn't expecting to ask me that question. Well, that's a good question, though, isn't it? On the Inside Matters website, which is a therapy group based in Eastbourne, where I do some face-to-face work. So at the moment, I'm not advertising as such, but people can also find me on Instagram at Sara Andrews Therapy. And I can always respond to them through direct message that way. So yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me because I've really enjoyed talking to you. It's such an important subject matter. So yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Okay, bye.
All right, bye bye.